there's this idea that I've been thinking about lately called cross training, and it is, I'll get into more of it a little bit later, but it's simply, to me, right now at the moment, combining classical training and commercial techniques to create a well-rounded, balanced singer. So I love this idea, and so I'd love to address this idea of classical training for all, and what does the word classical mean, and what does the word training mean. And I feel like sometimes these like terms, these like very like academic kind of terms, can be intimidating or scary to some singers, because they're like, oh my gosh, I don't want to do the studying, I don't want to do the boring work, the difficult work, the like tedious academic work. But like when I think about training, I think about like singing being this like athletic pursuit. And I didn't really understand this until I started collegiate study and training classically. And then crossing back over into commercial music, being like, oh my gosh, it actually does actually apply. And then so now the word training makes sense. And so training is, I guess, at least from what my experience was that it was associated with classical singing. And this is like the big point of the video, because I think there are a lot of myths about classical singing, and I'd like to attempt to bust some of them. So I think the first one, we can just get out of the room, is that classical training will turn you into an opera singer. And oh my gosh, that is so interesting, because I think, first of all, that usually takes years, years and years and years, because opera is a very specific sound, a very specific style. Classical training is a very specific, or classical singing is a very specific kind of singing. And so the idea of taking the fundamentals of classical singing, of classical training, and what are these fundamentals? Breath management, legato, right? Smooth and connected sound, balancing the vocal registers, and applying it to like other styles. That's, I feel like, what we're after, or what I'm after. So like, but like things like, if you can sing opera, you can sing anything. I don't think that should be taken like completely literally, because I think that if we take it literally, singing isn't gonna help you sing, I don't know, Amazing Grace, how sweet the sound. Like that's, yeah, those are two completely different sounds, right? Because yeah, they're completely different ingredients to making those sounds. However, as I've mentioned, concepts like legato, concepts like learning breath management and how to sing on your body and breath are really important for any style. Now that's just my opinion. So yeah, honestly, I'm just gonna say it. Yeah, they're super important. Okay, now on that note of, I talked about breathing and air and stuff. So here's the other myth that I've heard, is that classical singing takes tons of air. And I don't know if this is because maybe people think that it takes a really big sound to like, to like get, I don't know, to like project over like an orchestra. But no. This appoggio, this like breathing technique that you would learn in classical singing, it's not, it doesn't mean to blow a bunch of air at your vocal folds. It means to lean. So we're leaning gently on the breath that we have in our lungs. Because too much air creates breathy, or I was singing this choral piece the other day. If you love me, I'm not quite in my body, and I'm using a little too much air without tons of vocal cord closure, and so that is causing me to go a little bit sharp, out of tune. So that's not good. That's not what we want. So using tons of air is not good for any style. We want to balance our air. Okay. The other myth is, I was just saying balance. Some things that I've heard is like classical singing is not balanced. Oh goodness. So I think specifically what maybe I've heard is that sometimes classical singers, specifically women, female singers, using their head voice. And specifically what I've heard is that some, as I said, like mostly in female singers, is like the idea of like bringing the head voice like all the way down. So like, this is interesting. So I don't know if I can do it. That's actually hard. That is in my opinion not true. Classical singers, at least today, we're definitely taught to use our chest voice, and it's a really important part of knowing how to sing, letting the colors shift, letting the sound shift into all of the colors that make our voice balanced. Now, having said that, there is a difference in the way that the classical chest voice sounds, where we're going to have more of a head dominant sound. So this is like, where I'm keeping some of my head voice muscles engaged. First is like a pop sound. Yeah, that's like more of a pop sound, right? But with the classical sound, the chest voice muscles still have to work. So it's not like completely like dissing the head voice and being like, oh no, it's not important. It's the chest voice. But yeah, chest voice is super important. So to me, this is where it gets fun, because cross training, this idea of like mixing in the different styles, the different techniques, and applying them to the different styles, is just about adding, to me, more tools to the toolbox. And I, as a singer, want to have all the options when I sing. So the key for me with this topic is just exploring. So this, as I demonstrated a second ago, the heady mix, more of the head voice sound in it. That's more of that classical sound that's gonna, be appropriate for the style. But then there's also, we can go to the other colors. So, for example, today in my voice lesson, I was studying with my classical teacher, and she was like, do you want to do some belt today? And I was like, sure, okay. So the first thing that I did was we did ga 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 ga. She said, I think you're in a little bit more of a mix. Can you actually like really embrace your chest voice a little bit more? Use the same technique, same breath flow, not a lot of breath, Don't overblow your breath, but really let the chest voice come in. So instead of ga 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 hi. So all these like really strong sounds where there's more closure, more speech. Like I was doing some research on commercial singing, and they're going to be a little more conversational. Um, so like I'm just like, as a singer, I'm doing like things to get my voice to balance and to get my voice as well-rounded and as healthy as it can be. And I think that having an idea of all the styles and all the possibilities and all the colors that your voice can do is the way to go.